Well, first of all, let's take a few minutes just to talk about what spirituality is and maybe is not. First of all, spirituality is not simply a religious ritual or religious practice. It's much more than that. Spirituality is that point at which religious ritual and religious practices are meant to lead us. And where is that? It is to a continual consciousness of the presence of God. The filter that I bring to the criterion of everything I do. Everything I do comes out of my spirituality or my lack of it, one or the other. So spirituality is this development of the continual consciousness of God in my life, and it is also the point then at which the inner life looks at the outer life and says, what is this all about? It's very easy to be religious. It is very difficult to be a truly spiritual person, because the spiritual person, and Benedictine spirituality in a very particular way, comes alive at the welding of the inner and the outer life, of making the world we live in, here and now, the stuff of my own moral being. The stuff of the way I live, not the way I practice, not the number of rosaries I say, not the number of psalms I sing, but the way I see my life, its role, and its connection to that which is above and beyond me. The spiritual person always knows, I am not alone. I am not here for nothing. I am not only into my own development, as important as all those things are, and they are. I don't want it to appear that I'm minimizing them. I'm just saying they are not enough. Anybody, everybody gets up in the morning and breathes. The question is, what breath are you breathing out? And what breath are you breathing in? And how does your best friend and your family know that what you breathe is the breath of God, and that it's different than just running through the paces of life? So, what do I mean by that? What's it look like then when you see spirituality through a Benedictine filter? There are, of course, in my opinion, 6 pillars of Benedictinism. They are not rules, they're not laws, they're not prescriptions, they're not catechisms, they're not books of activities. They are the values I set about to embrace, embolden, enable wherever I am. Wherever I am. My spirituality is my obligation to bring those 6 pillars to life. And chief among those pillars, or common, the cement of all those pillars, is the notion of human community. It is the intention of building spiritual communities that bring those pillars of stewardship and peace and community and hospitality and mutuality and work to the point where they not simply become satisfying to me, but they somehow or other affect this whole place and everything we do, not just when we're here, but when we leave tomorrow. When I leave tomorrow, I don't put the speech down. I take with me an even greater awareness of how much that means to the lives of other people. And I take an even greater sense of Benedictine community, because I found another community of Benedictines that are also part of me as much as I am part of them. I'm not what's come in for the day. I'm what's come to this home of the heart, to this monastery of the heart, that takes me in, sits me down, and shows me the part of the world that they're building, that they want to build, that that somehow or other we find from one another tomorrow, because of Benedictinism, that we are all in this building of the pillars together. And that means then that I must start with the nourishment of my own spiritual life. I had a wonderful scholastic mistress. We loved her to death. And when you'd say to her, Sister Mary Michael, tell us, what's the most important thing that we should be doing as novices? And she would say, my dear young sisters, what you must do is remember that it's the little things that count. Well, when you're 17 years old and she's got her mind on how you fold sheets in the laundry, it didn't seem very, very exalted at that time. But as you grow into that notion that the way you live in community, in human community, with all the little things you're doing as you go through life, that you are building the human condition into a great spiritual flame. Now, the thing about Benedictine spirituality is that it requires you to understand that that's what you're about. It's very easy for, I worked with another great old Benedictine ancient, and we were in a what we call visiting. We were visitors, official visitors of the Benedictine life of another community. It was my first visitation, and this older woman had been president of the Federation for years. And every group we went into, what's good around here? What do you have questions about? What are you working on? What are you concerned about? Every single one of them had some complaint about prayer. Now, I'd been to prayer. I was going to prayer with them every day. Their community prayer was glorious. So we came out of a group. I pulled the old woman aside and into a little room, and I said to her, Mother, I don't understand it. All these sisters are disturbed about prayer, and they have the most beautiful prayer life in this monastery. Is there something wrong? And she said, oh, no, sister, there's nothing wrong here at all. She said, every Benedictine community, it complains about their prayer. That's what makes them Benedictine. They're always trying for more. They're always aware that, as Sister Mary Michael said to us, you can't give what you don't have. So two things are the cement of Benedictine spirituality: the whole sense of my obligation to the community and the place of prayer and contemplation in my life. Those are key. After that, everything else falls into place. You simply know when you see the world askew, and you say to yourself, what must I be doing? You know, because the prophets have told you, the psalmists have told you, the rule has told you, and they didn't say, they didn't tell you that you had to go to 4 masses a week. They said you had to take the mass to the public arena and everything that it implies. A love of the scriptures, a sense of the awareness of God, the commitment to spread the consciousness of God, and this criteria of human community. If I am not building global community, I'm not a Benedictine. I cannot say that my American monastery, with its lovely, regular, daily pattern, is monastic if our concern for community doesn't go beyond us to the city in which we live. See, if you want some particular demonstration of that, Benedictines are what we call autonomous. We have hundreds of Benedictine houses around the world, but they're all autonomous. They're all independent. They're not one sweeping, huge corporation with a CEO at the top. We are families who live wherever we are. And unknown to most people, we don't take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. We take vows of metanoia, of obedience, and this whole notion of being a community together. And so if community is that major an issue for me, then I have to realize that my metanoia, that third vow, my call to conversion, is to be more and more a part of all the communities around me, to be building this Christian mystical community wherever I go. Anything else, you know, can turn Benedictine life into a spiritual jacuzzi. Just a nice, warm place to feel all massaged and comfortable myself. Community is not easy. Community work is difficult work, and it's never, ever finished. This vow of stability, of metanoia, of obedience that we take, it's obedience to the will of God. It's my conversion to human community, to being my best in it, and it is stability. I will stay here. If the city of Erie, Pennsylvania goes down because nobody cared about anything that's going on there, the Erie Benedictines will go down with it. We're as vested in that city, maybe more than most, because we're not moving anywhere, and we know it. What goes on in that city, what happens to that city, what happens to the poor in that city, is all part of this consciousness of the outer world through the inner world, of this commitment to human community. Why should we have Benedictine spirituality? Because if we don't have enough of it, both in and out of our monasteries, this globe that is right now contaminated, polluted, corrupted, and largely ignored, will go with us. Somebody who speaks for the will of God, for the entire human community, must see that as their entire spiritual role in life. They will start by becoming closer and closer, deeper and more deeply involved in the life of Jesus. And then, like Jesus, they will walk from Galilee to Jerusalem, raising the dead to life, feeding the poor, loving the children, and doing what needs to be done, whatever road they're on. That's Benedictine spirituality. There's nothing small, neurotic, narcissistic, or self-satisfying about it, except the very joy of being a citizen of a world you love.